In the next game, we have the Texans, coming off a huge win in Pittsburgh to go on another trip, still on the road, such is life for a wild card team, to go to Foxborough to face Drake May, Mike Vrabel, and these new look. It's Turtle. What is your confidence level in the Texans right now? You have some questions about CJ Stroud. There should be no question about that defense. What chances are you giving the Texans in this game against the Patriots?
Yeah, let's just start with the defense matchup versus the Patriots offense. And look, I really like the Texans defense in the spot. It's hard not to. I mean, I've got a stat for you guys. So the Texans over the course of the season have played 8 top 10 offenses. And we all seen how the Texans looked over the course of the entire year. Arguably the best defense in the league. I mean, I think there might be no question about that anymore. Arguably one of the best defenses of the past decade. Um, Despite playing 8 top 10 offenses over the course of the season. The Patriots, on the other hand, haven't played a top 10 defense all season long. Um, so it goes to show they're stepping up in major class here facing the Texans. They haven't seen anything like this defense all year. Um, Trying not to take anything away from Drake May and that offense. Has been an incredible year for Drake May. He's taken a lot of steps forward from his rookie year. He's an MVP candidate. And again, that's all fine and dandy, but they haven't seen this level of defense all year. Um, I'm expecting a pretty low scoring game again. Um, I touched on Stroud and the kind of the post mortem with Will. Um, am I fully concerned with Stroud yet? No. I think it was a very uncharacteristic game from him. I mean, talk about a guy who had one fumble going into that game, and he fumbled 5 times, lost 3. Um, Issues with the snap, very jittery in the pocket. He looked all out of sorts, and yet he still made some great throws over the course of that football game. Very much a Jekyll and Hyde. I have to think that the turnovers can't get much worse for CJ Stroud than it did against Pittsburgh. Um, and yet the defense bailed them out. I'm pretty confident going into this game. I think the outside of CJ Stroud and his turnover issues against Pittsburgh, I think the offense took a ton of steps forward as far as run blocking is concerned. They were able to run the football against that Steelers front. They were able to wear them down. Um, no Nico Collins is a big deal, though. No Nico Collins against this Patriots defense is a big deal. We heard, I think it was Justin Herbert or members of the Chargers, Kimber who mentioned it, but they said that that the Patriots defense was running coverages and they had no idea what looks they're giving him. So I think there's a lot of work cut out for Nick Caley. There's a lot of work cut out for C.J. Stroud and this offense, but I'm mildly optimistic based off their most recent performance. They showed they could run the football. Now, again, doing that against the Patriots is probably a different beast than the Steelers, but I think C.J. Stroud will be better. It's going to be a big game for Christian Kirk showing and getting off the milk carton and being productive against Steelers. He was by far our best receiver on Monday night. I think him being effective in the slot's a huge deal. We're going to need a lot out of guys like Jaden Higgins on the outside, Xavier Hutchinson. I'm assuming Nico's going to be out. So I think it's a big Jaden Higgins game. And sneaky Jalen Noel, too. I think Jalen Noel's showed the explosiveness factor. If they can hit a big play to Jalen Noel, I think that will matter a ton. But overall, I'm pretty confident. I think the Texans defense, I think we kind of know what we're going to get out of them. It's if the Texans offense can manufacture points, I think it's going to be the deciding factor in this game. The spread right now is Texans +3. And look, man, with the defense playing like that, I think you can take those points and you might get an odd number here or there, but I find it hard to lay the Patriots to get 3 points of margin against this defense. I think it's going to be tough sledding for that offense. They didn't look great against the Chargers, and again, they're stepping up in class here. going against the Texans. So I'm confident. I think if CJ Stroud doesn't turn the ball over, we'll be right in the mix to win the game. And if the offense plays about on par with what they did against Pittsburgh minus the turnovers, I think that they're a better football team than the New England Patriots.
I mean, one thing about Drake May, if there's one drawback this year, when you look at what many would argue is an MVP year, it's been the amount of sacks he's taken, right? I mean, the guy's taken a ton of sacks. And what's one thing that this Texans defense does better than anybody is get after the quarterback. So there's obviously a major exploitation that could take place there by the Texans. And I think it could be the difference in this game, especially if it includes a Drake May turnover on the back end of one of those sacks. So, Christian, I know you've had a lot of questions about Drake May as a player this season. I'll put you on the hot spot here and ask you what your thoughts are on this game and whether you think Drake May is able to overcome this Houston defense or CJ Stroud struggles against the Patriots defense. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, I do like the under a lot in this game. I do think this is the ultimate Drake Maybe game this year. Very tough for him. I mean, Will Campbell, who knows how healthy he is. This is probably going to be his toughest matchup since he played Miles in Cleveland and he got 4 sacks on him. Jared Wilson's been banged up now late in the season at left guard, so that's going to be even tougher. I think Bradbury's banged up even now too. Christian Gonzalez went down with a concussion. So it seems like, hopefully, at least for the Texans, it's going to be pretty even strength. So no Nico, hopefully no, well, not hopefully, but probably no Christian Gonzalez. So that kind of balances out. I can't see Drake May scoring over 20 points in this game at all. I honestly think it's first to maybe 14 wins this game. And then, New England kind of feels like they've lost their run game over the course of a few weeks. And I don't expect them to do much on the ground this weekend. I think it's going to be a really tough day for Drake May. I feel like he's going to be confused or he's not going to have his first progression very often. And he's going to get hit a lot. And I think when you get hit a lot as a quarterback, you start playing bad. So I think Texans are going to handle him pretty well, take care of business here. And I don't think we have to worry about CJ Stroud quite yet, but something to keep an eye on. And I think it's important to note that they have to make a decision on that 5th-year option. I think they'll pick it up, but that's coming up.
Yeah, I think the more interesting question is, do they give CJ Stroud an extension after this year? I mean, the Texans have been notorious for extending their guys super early in their rookie deals. We saw it with Jalen Petrie. We saw it with Stingley. Are they going to be that? I mean, I think Will Anderson's a no question, no brainer. I think he gets his extension, no doubt, this offseason. He's going to be the highest paid non-quarterback in football. I think that's a guarantee. Stroud's an interesting question that I don't know if the team will do it or not. I mean, the team has shown propensity to do that with those guys, but I think it's a little bit of a harder question, at least right now. But we'll see. I saw an interesting, before we get back to the game, one question for you guys. If you're the Texans right now and you had to pick between Will Anderson Jr. or CJ Stroud on your team moving forward, which one would you pick?
Will Anderson Jr.
Anderson Jr.
Yeah,
Might
that's
be the
what I was
best
gonna
young
say,
edge
too.
rusher in football, and CJ Stroud's one big question
Hard
mark right
to,
now.
I mean, that's a crazy answer considering like a quarterback is obviously almost invaluable in the NFL at this point. And you're essentially saying that Will Anderson Jr. is more valuable than CJ Stroud, which I
Game-breaking
agree
edge
with,
rusher is not, I wouldn't call it a close second to a quarterback because a quarterback obviously is way more important, but I think having that game-breaking edge rusher could be, second in importance to a quarterback. I think it could be argued. And when you got a guy like Will Anderson, you got to keep him. You got to find a way to keep him. So, but again, you got a young quarterback who had arguably the best rookie season of any quarterback in NFL history at the time. So, yeah, it's a tough conundrum to be in. It's a good problem to have, to be working with those pieces. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, Mike and Christian, do you disagree? Do you think you'd rather keep C.J. Stroud over Will Anderson on this little side tangent?
They're going to keep both. It's an interesting
yeah.
question.
Probably
They're
keep
gonna
both, but no, I'd take Will over him.
Same.
There you
Wow.
go.
All right.
There you have it from the
Unanimous.
outsider
All
perspective.
right, let's go back to the game. Curious
Back to the
comments
game.
have to say about that.
Yeah, Mike, I haven't gotten your breakdown yet on how you think this game's going to play out.
Yeah, no, I mean, you talk about how the last game played out for the Patriots. They had 5 sacks on Justin Herbert against what was a skeleton crew O-line. And I think we all talked about it going into this. We were all, I think, all leaning Patriots. I just don't really think the Texans have a much better O-line than the Chargers do. Now, obviously, it's not saying a ton much, talking about comparing anybody to the Chargers O-line. I don't think it was talked about enough, though. Drake May took 5 sacks against the Chargers defense last game, and was stripped twice. Those matchups up front are, I think, really going to come into play, in this game. Obviously, you talked about Gonzo's health. Neither one of these teams allowed a touchdown in the wild card round. Hit you in the mouth kind of game. Let's not forget. C.J. Stroud fumbled the ball 5 times. Let's figure out what's happening with Nico Collins' health. He's in concussion protocol. I really don't know if he's going to be able to go in this game. Just being when the concussion happened and, what the NFL's protocol is. That's what I'm worried about on the Texans side. On the pro Texans, Will Campbell really struggled last week. He really did. We talked about the sack numbers, but he got blown up against that Chargers defensive line. And now you throw in the best defensive unit, in the NFL, especially up front, especially with the linebackers. What Drake May has been doing best, I think, and, we've seen it, is getting the ball out early, getting it to his playmakers, getting it in their hands, and, letting plays happen that way. How do you disrupt that? You win on the edge. You win with Will Anderson. You win on the defensive line. You win with Ariante Ursary. It's not like I think there's disruption that's going to happen with this. Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter. The eyes start going when you're playing this Texans defense. I think we saw it with Justin Herbert last week. Is you stop looking at what the coverage is. And you start your eye, vision goes downward towards who in the hell is coming at me. And it's Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson coming at you. I think that with a rookie quarterback, that doesn't bode well for Drake May. A pass-heavy rush defense with the Texans. Are you going to be able to play heavy play action with them and be able to still have the time to, get it to what we saw last week? Texans secondary is playing really good. They attack the sidelines. They limit big plays. The entire offense for the Patriots is predicated off Drake May being able to have time, find guys, and make the explosive plays. If he gets out of the pocket, we already saw swarm. That's what the Texans do. If you're going to be running Drake May out there expecting to win the game and he's not able to hit his playmakers at all, or hit them in a limited style. I mean, I'm not even talking about the offense for the Texans, which I think we all can probably say is going to play better. I think they will play better. I just don't see CJ Stroud having another game like he just played. You survived and advanced. Defense bailed you out. But the defense is also coming into this with so much confidence. Patriots offensive line struggled against this Chargers defensive line last week. I think all of the momentum is with the Texans right now. I think CJ Stroud absolutely can evaluate how he needs to be better, what he needs to do, not turn. If CJ Stroud doesn't turn the ball over, I mean, the Texans dog walk him. If he does, maybe it's a little bit closer. I just don't see a rookie quarterback with this defense going to be able to win this game with what I think it's a defense that knows how to take what works for a quarterback away. What works for this defense, they've been able to decide either get pressure or make the quarterback get you. As I mentioned, Will Campbell struggled, man. Throw this defensive line against them. I got the Texans to win and cover this one. And yeah, Turtle, you'll be strutting the pimp cane all the way to the AFC Championship game, and then we shall see what goes from there. But no, I got the Texans.
Not so fast, my friend. Maybe this is just me playing devil's advocate here.
Fox Bailey over there.
Here's the thing. Watching that game the other night, I don't know how you could not be just extremely concerned with CJ Stroud at quarterback. I mean, and playing the Steelers' old defense, who's given up once they see, that their offense has no juice and that Aaron Rodgers is a shell of himself, is a different animal compared to a Patriots team that, you can ask who they played this year, but they've won. Man, have they won. They've won consistently. They've won big. And with that just comes a ton of confidence in their young quarterback. So you go from facing, an old relic, an old dinosaur, a fossil of himself that Aaron Rodgers is, to a guy coming into his prime in Drake May. And as long as he's able to take care of the ball, I think that they can withstand some of that, some of the pressure and what the Texans are going to throw at them.
They scored 16 points last week, Pat.
Christian, it is what it is. It's the first game of a guy's career, first playoff game of a guy's career. All right, and you know what?
It gets harder. And you can't nickel. Hang on, Pat. You can't nickel and dime this Texans defense. You can't throw it short on them because they tackle. You can try to attack them deep, but you might not have enough time. But go ahead.
Well, damn. I mean, I guess we should just crown them Super Bowl champions right now, because my point is,
sick of these fucking goal balls. I'm sick of these fucking goal balls being considered elite or any sense of the imagination.
Christian has a personal problem with Drake.
Blake Bortles got to an AFC championship throwing go balls and crossing routes. Okay. Well, okay.
Okay, Christian. Drake May is personally wronged Christian in some way that we don't know about. But that's not even the point of my analysis. The point of my analysis is that this Patriots defense is underrated. I think one thing about them is that they've struggled to get to the quarterback, but I still don't have a ton of confidence in the Texans' offensive line to hold up. And again, CJ Stroud, I don't know how you could leave that last game, despite the win, without having serious questions about him and his ability to take care of the ball and just how he's going to show up in any given game, because, the playoff performances have been inconsistent from the beginning of his career. He started off with a great one and has been up and down since, and he's coming off a down in that Steelers game. If it weren't for the Ravens, if it weren't for the Texans defense, the narrative of that game would be CJ Stroud couldn't hold on to the ball. So let's see it again. Patriots are playing at home here. The crowd's going to be juiced up for sure. It's going to be a difficult environment. Not saying the Steelers wasn't the same way, but I think that the Patriots are a step up in competition from the Steelers, just like the Texans are a step up in competition from the hobbled Chargers. But hey, it might be just me playing devil's advocate, but we got to give Drake May a little bit of respect here in terms of the what he was able to put on tape. He did look like the best quarterback in the AFC for the large majority of this season. And he's going up against the best defense in the AFC. So I'm just not ready to call it a foregone conclusion yet and say the Turtle's going to be spinning a pimp cane just yet. But they still have to play the game.
Pittsburgh 21-14, by the way.
Oh, the Patriots in that goofy game that happened with all the turnovers and this and that, and it's still coming down to
I'm just saying.
Do the Texans play more zone defense or they play man defense?
Turtle had something to say.
Hey, I was just going to say, like, you mentioned C.J. Stroud's recent game a lot and his playoff career, which I can agree with you is mostly up and down. But for the other, let's call it 16, 17 games, he missed, 3 games of concussion. But for the most of the portion of the season where C.J. Stroud's played, he did a great job taking care of the football. So I just see it more as an aberration, a blip on the radar. Now, if it becomes a pattern in the playoffs, we can have that entirely different conversation if it leads to a Texans L. And if that pattern emerges in the playoffs, then that's a conversation I'm willing to have. But at this point, based off of the body of work over this entire season, I have to chalk it up as a blip on the radar. And I think at least those mistakes are correctable compared to where I don't think there's something fundamentally wrong with CJ necessarily. I think that the turnover mistakes are correctable, but other than like the turnovers, he made some great throws on Monday. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Some of the throws he hit to Kirk were really good throws. He was a little bit off, but we'll see if it's a pattern or not. I just can't call it a pattern just yet.
We'll see. And I mean, just like you're rooting for the Bears, I am rooting for the Texans in this one. I'm ready for the Patriots fans to get knocked off their pedestal a little bit here. They don't deserve another run here in the playoffs. So I'm rooting for the Texans. I am. For the sake of the pod, I just wanted to at least give the Patriots perspective on how I think they could win, because I know damn well that Christian wasn't going to give him any credit, and Mike's talking about you spinning the pimp cane.
And I didn't bring up the pimp cane talks. I will say this: like if like the Texans defense, like as great as they are, they're not indestructible of the fact that there has been times this year they've given up big plays, and Drake May, can throw the ball down the field accurately. Will he have the time to do so? I don't think so, but I mean, it's an NFL football game. All it takes is one play, and the Patriots have shown the ability. I'm playing devil's advocate for my own team right now, but the Patriots have shown the ability to make big plays. Drake May has shown the ability to throw the football down the field, despite what Christian thinks. And I mean, that can beat you. If you're not prepared, that can beat you. Like odds are the Texans stop it. That's my belief. I think that's a lot of people's belief. But again, it's the NFL. It just takes one play. Hell, fucking Lassiter or Bullock can slip on a play, and all of a sudden you've got Keyshawn Booty or Pop Douglas running wide open 60 yards. Like
you don't have to get so specific. I'm knocking on wood for you over here now that you say something like that, because if that happens, that's going to be crazy.
Drake May
it's like a 2% chance of happening, but look, I'm trying to be, fair enough. I don't want people to come after me.
Well, you're going to get criticized for not being a big enough Texans guy, just like last time.
What would you be a pessimist for right now?
I get that. Sorry, I'm a little bit of a realist at times. Like I can't.
But he can't guard Stingley and Lassiter guard the go ball pretty well. You got.
It's going to take one of them slipping and falling. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's going to take
1 for 7
with God.
Drake May 1 for 7 with 2 turnovers last game against the Chargers defense in man coverage. Can the Texans sprinkle a little bit in there? I think you got better guys on the outside to be able to cover Keyshawn Booty and Stephon Diggs.
Yeah. And look, I mean, I will always have high expectations for my team. And so when I see something that's not going correctly, I can sit here and be a cheerleader all I want, but I don't want to be known as the guy who's just a cheerleader for his team. Like I'll poke holes. Yeah. No offense to him, but another thing that could be better for the Texans too. We saw it like the end of half management all year has been a problem for D'Amico Ryans. We saw it the Steelers game too, 7-6. They came out super conservative. They used their time. Aikman was saying it on the broadcast, like they used their timeouts in spots you probably shouldn't have used their timeout. CJ misses Nico Collins, who's wide open. Probably would have ran to the 3 or 4 yard line, if not scored. And all of a sudden, like on a drive, you probably should have gotten points on at the end of the half. You get nothing, and that's kind of been a theme this year too. Like that, the end of half stuff needs to get cleaned up, because I think you're going to need every point you can get against this Patriots team. So that stuff needs to get cleaned up too. Again, I'm optimistic. I think we're a better team than the Patriots if we play if we just don't play stupid football, especially on the offensive end. I trust the defense to not let up big plays. They kind of did it at spurts this year when they had guys injured and you were starting Kevon Wallace and whatnot. Jalen Reed came back into the Pittsburgh game, by the way. That was a huge get back as far as the safety position is concerned. Having Jalen Reed, who got hurt in that first drive, come back into the game and not having us not play Miles Bryant at the other safety spot, I think was huge. Jalen Reed has been a nice little find in the 6th round of the draft last year. He's given us some good tick. Him being able to come back into the game, I think, was also huge. Kind of an underrated guy on a defense full of stars, but Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryans, man, they can draft guys. They can draft defensive players. I mean, holy hell! I don't know if they've missed on a defensive draft pick in D'Amico Ryans' entire tenure.
He's a hell of a developing coach for sure.
Yeah.
And the defense plays with his identity and his, his mentality, and it's obviously shown its face here.
Also, shout out. I'm gonna do a Christian shout out here. Ahead. Tommy Togiai, unsung hero on this Texans defense, defensive tackle. I think I mentioned before the year, defensive tackle was a kind of a meat and potatoes position for this Texans defense. Tommy Togiai has been a revelation as far as a run stuffing. He's the epitome of meat and potatoes, but there's been times when you're able to get pressure up the middle with Togiai. He's super consistent against the run. Undrafted guy. Nick Caserio extended him after week 2 for their season. Texans have him on a very cheap deal. So shout out Tommy Togiai. Again, it seems like everybody that they find that plays for this defense all of a sudden is the best version of themselves. So it's a credit to the coaching staff and the GM and the development they got going there.
Shout out Big Tommy T.
Tommy Togiai, one of my favorite players in the Texans
Turtle
defense.
Himself.
Yeah. I have actually, I don't know if he'll ever watch this, but if he does, I would like to eventually meet Tommy Togiai and induct him into Big Barrel brand because he's a big barrel and he's going to be one of the spearheads of Big Barrel brand.
Yeah, he can kick Andrew Billings out because I'm off the Andrew.
No, he was never in there. Let's not desecrate Big Barrel brand.
He
like
could have
that.
been Big Barrel brand at his peak. Andrew Billings could have Big Bill.